called What the Dream Knew. Electric maps printed out directions while I navigated on an ancient river of rage. My ship was bristling into clarity, sliding down its own whirlpool of deceleration. It was she, stepping into the air, floating, near the shore standing, on the fog behind, surging. My heart was beating loudly. I could hear it pushing. She placed it at a distance in front, a thumping mass of blood and vessels. All I needed to do was reach for it, to know if I was still here. But it was so far. In the past, I could look carefully as if searching for a lost set of keys, knowing to wait for acts of destruction to complete, following directions from those still touching the smooth edge of things breaking. Now, this is called Pieces of a Movie. We were there in the end game, sitting in their black rented Bentley. I was the child who hated them, but my grief was not theirs. I am not what I wanted. I will never be that now, standing on my anger's edge in my black suit and tie, seeing how they fit it all together in a place where the end of sky touches sea, where it holds horizons down into a red light waiting for your memory to project, where I can see your beauty again on the screen. I am there too, the child knocked down by a wave on a long forgotten beach. How much time do I have left?
50 seconds.
50 seconds? Okay. Silos, the shape of a giant silo sunken into earth, cylindrical, the shape of fear in madness, ready to tower from a single circular button, fueled and loaded. With their steel fins, they will hum before they scream, waiting to obliterate whole cities. Loud sirens will capture the afternoon, blaring invitations to an underground until there is nothing but a thought that maybe it's still just a drill. A white skull with black holes for eyes, graffiti on a shelter wall, a double-headed rune in a carving, a last message from a distant past, transported from the night.
40,000 and I'll raise ya, I tells ya. I says pushing all the chips across with both of my hands, 40 grand into the table's unstable center. The man demanded the remaining players to make your wagers. For God's sakes, place your bets, sir. As I grew impatient with splendor, beige and polyester with faded letters, I had on my favorite smoking jacket, champagne spraying and wetting everybody on the table in the face in a distasteful display of displeasure. Cowboy took off his hat, wringing it out, and rang the leather and flipped everybody off the middle finger in a graceless gesture. The table became a damp green fabricated texture, which weighed the dice down, which delayed our endeavor. A section of the table had to be roped off to dry while we waited for inspectors because the table was wet with champagne. It evaporated in seconds. Finally, the board was playable. Dice hitting the wall at all different angles. Everybody estimated their venture. A swanky dresser is at the end of the table and he's playing the tenacious aggressor. As snake-eyed dice bounced off the wall and bounced off the board, more and more and more players surrendered. Player after player, it was his night. His hand simply put, sensationally stellar. Dice hitting like earthquake and tremors. Some strange fella entered the game late. Some strange fella. He needed a basic refresher. After explaining the rules of the game to this strange fella. He passed out, had to be taken on a stretcher. While this distraction was happening, I reached into my smoking jacket pocket, shameless and clever. All the commotion had the attention of the surveillance detective. The man planned a fake heart attack, and he was to be compensated later, but he got paid never. Cowboy complained about the delay to the waitress, the waiter, the vendor, basically whoever. An instigated meddler, Cowboy cooling. As order was restored, Cowboy swore at the board with an outrageous temper. Ace, deuce, easy, 4, fever, 5, dice flew, flying out in the contagious trifecta, shaking the dice up in his lucky hand like a vibrating blender, shaking and shaking, shake, shake. The more shaking, the better. Premeditated and measured 20,000, Cowboy said, over the anticipating hecklers, appraising investors and bank collectors. The man signaled something was up to the station teller, and I was banned from Las Vegas forever. Imogen, give her a hand.
So I found this poem at a period in time which, when we were first reading here at the Alternative Reading, it was still at Cafe Nico on Avenue A. It was a period in time in which I had a lot of friends who had heroin or cocaine habits. Now, most of those people, if they're still alive, are no longer living in the city. In the dark, without your clothes, your skin is smooth as night. I recount the hairs off your head, rattling off stories of men like horses and animals like knights, K-N-I-G-H-T, who steal women's hearts as presents to the sun. In the cool of 3 a.m., the city lights are limitless as we drive along the ironwork of the Manhattan Bridge. Chinatown is a memory of rice, wine, and vinegar, and like the first moments before sunrise, the moon is a lump of whitish sugar. The first time you took heroin, you said you had visions in the night of luminous clouds breaking forth and rivers flowing red. You reached beneath your skin and pulled out your beating heart. And when you opened your eyes, the room was saturated in sweat. In the dark, you whispered to me how you knew that in the morning, with the heat of the sun, it would somehow all be different. I, who never realized how you dreamed 1,000 nights, fell asleep that first time, your words echoing round me, dropping softly, spun like sugar. It's okay if you snort it, you say, your eyes blinded white, while the glow of your skin casts shadows on my walls. Fingers crossed and splayed, we make images in the light. Birds eat the poppies, poppies eat the birds. Birds eat the poppies, poppies eat the birds. Sitting by the window, watching the lights blink on and off, the garbage trucks make noises that you can barely hear. Coursing through your blood is the smoke of 1,000 years, which immobilized Chinese armies and brings the silence to your ears. If the night became a horse, I could ride it through the fields and forget the coming light that beats just so upon the glass. Instead, the field is New York City, and the poppies are all gone to the bellies of the birds, and the birds, well, they were felled by the sun. Happy New Year, everybody.
All right, quickly. It's the last day of November 2019, and just a single hour of it contains multitudes. We woke up late, my daughter first, then me, which happens rarely. We left at 12:20, took the first left at Mercer, then on to Spring Street. To walk down Spring Street in the early afternoon, the day after Black Friday, word would be insane, but the kid wanted vegan Doc Martens, and that's where the store was. They were having a sale. Miraculously, the shoes fit, so we bought them. I dropped her off to meet her cousin at 12:53, then grabbed the DVDs I wanted to return, including North by Northwest, which I was hoping to rewatch, but did not, sadly. As I walked out of my place towards the Mulberry Branch, there were confused or lost-looking tourists, a common sight in the neighborhood. And I had time, and I felt magnanimous. They had no specific destination, so I told them, go down Bleecker a couple of blocks. You can see where the folk singers and beatnik poets perform, and comics too. Lenny Bruce, Nichols and May, Mrs. Maisel. In the movie Serpico lived on Minetta Street. The first time I ever saw a movie being shot, it was Pacino with a bag of groceries walking from the Pioneer Ear supermarket. It's a Le Pen quotidien now. So many stores and people have had to move. A miracle my mom still lives in the apartment I grew up in, Houston and 6. A miracle that anyone can live here anymore. To the library, right on Crosby, left on Houston, right on Lafayette, left on Jersey Street. Returned the DVDs and would have liked to have rented some more, but I learned the Mulberry Branch no longer carries DVDs. They took my returns. I checked out a book, and then it occurred to me, maybe I could have renewed North by Northwest. So I asked, could I check it out again? The guy said he thought so. He walked to the bin of recently returned items, and he looked, saying to himself, North by Northwest, as if he couldn't remember the name, as if he had never heard of it, didn't know what it was. I said, Hitchcock? No response. I'm sure this guy has read 1,000,000 books, but what the fuck? I try not to be proud of the ignorances I have of sports and military history, of all the other shit I'm allergic to. But Alfred Hitchcock? Cary fucking Grant? But I was grateful he renewed the flick for me. I had one more stop, a left out of the library, another left at Lafayette, a right at Spring, the Amazon 4-star store to return something, a left out of there, a right on Crosby, then across Houston Street, a left and then a right on Broadway, and I'm on my block. I barely see, but do not look, at an ostentatious convertible with the top down, blaring, baby, it's cold outside. Which it wasn't. It was maybe 40 degrees. If it's warm enough you can drive your convertible with the top down, then baby, it's not cold outside. And hasn't that song been canceled? I may be an old, clueless, provincial, pseudo-intellectual ignoramus, but I know enough not to be blasting fucking baby, it's cold outside on Broadway when it's not even fucking cold outside, for fuck's sake. Another left and I am home. I took another hour to write it down. It's 2:15. Maybe this is the poem for the alternative reading, if I can cut it down a little. Thanks.
Well, there's a professional election, John S. Hall. April Jones.
Of the year the wheels of life spins on me, bringing the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. Let's be real. Let's be real. Because I thank my God that I'm still standing. Some didn't wake up this morning. Some don't want to wake up. Some don't want to be here. Some don't want to. What? Huh? Because they're pushing and they're pulling and they're climbing and they're climbing, and then someone closes the fucking door on them. This year came very fast. 2019 is now the past. Let's open that door for 2020. 2020, honey. Happy New Year's.
What did you know?
This appears in Sensitive Skin Magazine's anthology for this past year. It's called A Kind of Love Story. Walking along Avenue A, I was kind of drunk. It was kind of desolate and kind of late. All the stores were kind of closed, and there was this guy who kind of looked like you. He kind of smiled. I kind of smiled too. He kind of waved me over. I kind of went to him, whatever. He kind of smoked a cigarette. He kind of put his arm around me, and I kind of let him. We kind of walked over to his place. He kind of had me alone. He kind of showed me his record collection, and we kind of listened to old jazz, the Rolling Stones. He kind of lit a blunt, and we kind of smoked it. He kind of had a bottle of Tennessee whiskey. Well, you can guess what we kind of did with that. We kind of kissed in the half-shadow moonlight. Then we kind of did other things, kind of. In the morning, he said he kind of wanted to take me on a long car trip. I said I was kind of down with that. I kind of felt I was in love. He said he kind of felt it too. We kind of packed up everything he owned and skipped town. This, because you stood me up. That was very kind of you.
Making his way to the stage as we speak, David Walker.
City, state, underground task force mobilized in response to outside threat endangering our mass transit system, alien invaders compromising our security, churro ladies ruining our quality of life with their fried dough treats, disorienting tourists with their humble passivity. They are so sweet, it is practically entrapment. They escape here from countries being exploited by our corporate heroes to try and put food on the table for the kids the fat cats want picking fruit. They are selling food without the required license, which, though it costs hundreds technically, then gets subleased for 100 times more, though rarely ever if sold to a woman. These ladies are so suspiciously tiny. Task force members strain their backs, bending down to handcuff them, causing a spike in workmen's compensation cases, disabling them from randomly hassling black youth who hold their heads high. This crack task force could just ask the ladies to leave the subway station. But the Democratic administration enabling them wants to show they can match the opposition in thoughtless cruelty. They end up with cinnamon sugar on their hands when we should. Happy New Year.
Susan Lee.
Thank you. Happy New Year. And I'm going to take a departure because I'm going to be reading really short prose. Blur blue. Carrie loved a solitary walk on the beach, especially on an early Sunday morning. Louder. Okay. Okay. Blur blue. Carrie loved a solitary walk on the beach, especially on an early Sunday morning. But her favorite time was at dusk. Dusk, that wonderfully tranquil time between night and day, when the fading light was exquisite, and that blurred, hazy line between rose and blue appeared in the sky. The beach on Lama was a refuge from Hong Kong, a pleasant mix of open space and outdoor joints serving up the freshest seafood, and Karen's current favorite, udon pho, fish balls with rice noodles. The view was unhampered by the new neon skyline and the massive humanity from the MTR, the minivans and the double-decker buses haphazardly spilling the masses onto Nathan Road. Everything smelled clean, like salt and sea, instead of sweat, durian, and exhaust. She felt the comforting swish of the surf and the soft sand under her feet. Her toes freshly painted pale pink. Carrie nibbled a Don Tot, still warm from the hole in the wall bakery, the Phoenix, around the corner. She bit into the creamy, rich, slightly sweet egg custard with a delightfully flaky crust and admitted that it was even better than the ones from the bakery on Grand Street that she remembered as a child. Perhaps it was being in Hong Kong. She walked slowly, lazily, aimlessly, far, far away from the city pace. A few locals of the bakery warned her about the pollution which had closed the beach to swimmers that day. Ahead, a crowd gathered, seemingly oblivious to the news, that she too was drawn in, compelled to look. Carrie knew all too well from the summers at Hermosa, Manhattan, and Redondo, the California beaches she frequented growing up, that congregating groups never meant good news. Here, halfway around the world, a fisherman had pulled a little girl out of the sea. Carrie never saw her face. To protect her privacy, someone had already covered her with a bright blue tarp. What a shade for a shroud. She only saw strands of her wet black hair, her tanned limp hand with a green jade bracelet, now tinged with an ethereal pallor. That fucking superstition, a good luck charm jade that was supposed to protect her. It couldn't save her, couldn't do a thing against the Pacific. A sense of horror, then sadness overwhelmed Carrie as she teared up. Kid never stood a chance against the tide. Carrie turned from the cluster of onlookers and started running. Her tears warm, raining down her cheeks. The tiny limp body obliterated her reserve. It wasn't fucking fair in this messed up world. Carrie cried for the lost girl and her dumb luck of being born in a fishing village in Hong Kong. The sky was turning away from that dusty pink into the deeper blue. In French, that time of day had such a pretty name, Le Bleu. Today there was nothing beautiful or poetic, just the foam of the waves sloshing the shore. Thank you.
Keep those hands in motion, because our next reader is Ken Thompson, who has waived his right to a bio, but I can tell you he's always welcome to, he's ready to go. He's always here, one of our favorite writers here, so come on down, give him a hand. Come on, yes, enthusiasm, good poet. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes. I want to break the law. A glass, a window, a barrier of what I cannot see, but I know is there. Some dark energy or entity that wants to devour me whole for a notch in its belt. I want to break the law that says that I must fade to black and deconstruct my spirit and pulverize it into a white powder and blow it into the air. The law that says I must lock up my heart and throw away the key. I want to break the law that says that I must only walk backwards into a pool of vodka, into a cracked den of gyrating bodies, float on a sea of self-sabotage, sending poetic messages in bottles. Tonight, I want to break the law that says that energy must be contained or siphoned off by anyone who sees you as a means to an end and entertains your humanity according to whim. Tonight is a night for breaking glass and mirrors, reflecting back the you that no longer exists. The beckoning smile, your beckoning smile pulls me forward. Tonight, the benevolent monster rises off the table. Yes, I gave him life. He wants to walk into the light. Tonight, my hands itch for creation of beauty in a world longing for memories of pure joy. My children are hungry and have no idols. Mine are dead or dying, so I will break the law and defy darkness and death just by breathing and walk into what I cannot see, exploding willfully, lighting fires. Like I said, I want to break the law.
So, Margaret Yard is a writer, poet, lyricist, the brightest.
Obsolete whore, H-O-A-R, roar, dedicated to Tommy Pico. I, a lone being, minutes ticking, licking, warming, pouring in the maelstrom of this Death Star, thick fear masked by my classical vintage face. fierce old beauty, once used to launch, now socially lynched, already seared, neural lost forgettings, masked Alzheimer's, or worse. I remain alive, alive. Ho, every nanosecond seared into digital debris. Sensate existence, hopes bordering on possibilities of the fleeting feeling of the being of the moi. Annoying gnat bite memes, singing, stinging, intermittent hurts instantaneously nullified, shattered shrapnel bite. I know not what I am. I know not where I am, dredging my history and memories in this vapid, lonely air, eaten alive by no one and nothing, just the urgency of AI sucking up humanity, slurping, but never digesting what once was and still remains, obsolete, obdurate spirit. Wait. I had to have big print of 2 pages. I fight back with my stardust, unknown quantity to bots and quirky fools. My home, my country, my world imploding beneath my frail physicality, my eyes disappearing sight. My timer tweaking unknown shifting, paper-thin fragility of palpable existence. Wait, stop, stay, I will say, I am horror, H-O-A-R, woman, and I will remain. Thank you.
On the wire.